Hey, good morning, everybody. Greg Pruitt here with the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. I am joined today by Senator Christy Zito. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you doing?
Tired. That's the theme of the game when you're in politics, I guess, is you're exhausted. But you know what? We also love the work, and so that kind of, when you're trying to fight for people and fight for their rights, then it invigorates you, I guess, on some level.
Well, it keeps you going.
Yeah.
The adrenaline keeps you going, and that's why we do what we do, because we believe in the Constitution, we believe in freedom, and we believe that people just want to be left alone to live their lives and take care of what's theirs and their families, and it's a hard job to protect that, it feels like. Harder than it should be. But
in Idaho, it is much harder than it should be. Again, we should be passing a dozen pro-gun bills easily every year, or repealing bad legislation, whatever it is.
Yep, standing up for ourselves against the federal intrusion, and even some of the stuff that comes from in the state. People look at Idaho and they say, we live in Idaho, we're the gun-friendliest state in the country, but just because it feels like that today, that doesn't mean that there aren't people who are constantly trying to figure out a way to. We saw that this summer. Yeah. There was some mention about transgender people as a class not being able to have a firearm. And that's a slippery slope, because you start that instead of on an individual basis. And you and I have talked before that if a person's so unstable that they can't be trusted with a firearm, should they be driving a truck? Should they have a baseball bat? Should they have a knife? Because it's not, the gun is just a tool. The evil and the danger is in the mind and heart of the person who commits the crime.
Well, and there's no, once you go down that road, then the government only expands those restrictions, right? It never comes back the other way. And so it's like, okay, today it's that class of people, and then it goes to veterans with PTSD, and then it goes to, well, I don't like your politics. And so it ripe for abuse, absolutely ripe for abuse, and so but then we have red flags. I know that we talked about this. The sheriffs, National Sheriff's Association was pushing sheriffs to look at various ways to do red flag laws, and that's been, I think, a sticking point here in Idaho, is that everyone assumes that it can't happen here because of our state constitution, which says that the legislature cannot pass a law having firearms confiscated unless they were used in the commission of a felony. And what we've said is, hey, wait a minute, okay, that might help prevent you guys from doing it, but what about the courts? Doesn't say anything about the courts. And that's where we have some concern that our state constitution probably isn't strong enough to prevent the courts from doing it somehow. And we don't really know how that would work necessarily. And then we have an anti-gun Idaho Supreme Court that we would have to hope would uphold our law. We have no definition of what constitutes.
The federal constitution, though, you would think that they would uphold that, but we can see that doesn't, and it even comes into our states with all the regulations and stuff we face from the feds. Even when that constitution says shall not be infringed, it doesn't say except, or in the case of, or just in case this happens, shall not be infringed. And there was a reason for that. And so it's constant, and occasionally we can back this stuff up. You did it with constitutional carry. It took a long time, longer than who would ever have dreamed in the state of Idaho, and the battle that it was, and the stuff we could write a book about. What that took and what it went through just to get something
and not just that, and that's where we really appreciate the work that you've done for gun owners, because I wish people could really see what it's like down here, because they would be flabbergasted, I think, at how hard it is to push even menial. Like last session, we tried to push through adding, so for our firearm preemption law here in Idaho, there's no penalties. Like, so if the mayor of Boise just decides, I don't care, I'm gonna do whatever I want and violate
the flag thing,
like the flag thing, with the preemption law, there's no recourse, none whatsoever.
Like the flag thing.
Yeah, and so but that's how government has operated here for a long time. If it comes to government punishing government, they want nothing to do with it. But so last session, we were just like, hey, if you knowingly and willfully, so if there's a Parks Rec guy that doesn't know any better and puts up some signs, okay, whatever, take him down. We're not asking you to throw the guy in jail or anything. Maybe we should, but But for knowingly and willfully violating the statute, then there's consequences, right? And the consequences were only, there was a fine that they couldn't pay using government money. It was out of their own pocket.
In the proposed legislation.
In the proposed legislation that we tried to do. And we couldn't even do that. We couldn't even get a hearing. So
no, and when I hear legislators say, well, if we would have put a penalty in it, no one would have voted for it, then why have it?
Yeah.
Because we can obviously now see what the results are if there's not something.
Yeah. Well, but that's also an indictment on our quote unquote super conservative legislature. Wait, yes. We can't put punishments. I mean, Florida has it. There's a lot of states that have punishments in their preemption statute, and we had a hard time doing anything with it here in Idaho. In fact, the NRA, I was also working on a version of it, and it never saw the light. I don't know what happened with it, but so that's Idaho. This is freaking Idaho, and we have to fight this hard, tooth and nail, every single year, and it's been that way since my first session in 2013. We started doing this. You've been with us for a really long time. It's never changed. No. It's the same fight every year. It's dirty. It's
and then we write something good, and then the secret gun club will come in and water it down and run it and get it through, and we're like, okay, fine. It's a little step, but it still doesn't do what we need it to do. It still doesn't protect us the way we need to be
and again,
protected.
This isn't Wisconsin or Minnesota or we should be ramming
Idaho.
a dozen of these things through. And here's the difference between you and me and a lot of other lawmakers and others. I don't care. Like if freaking Melissa Wintrow, who's one of the most anti-gun, so this is never going to happen, by the way. But if she came in,
was going to vote for one that Jim Guthrie brought. That one
oh
time,
my gosh, but that's not a pro-gun bill. That was so bad. But anyway, like I don't care. I don't care if Todd Lakey, who doesn't like me, and I don't like the way he does things down here. But look, if he came and has basically in the past said, hey, we've got this gun bill, and I'm like, great, fantastic, let's do it. We'll support it. Yeah. That's the difference, I think, between us is I just want gun owners to have the best thing possible.
I don't care if my name's on the bill. I just want it to serve the people and protect our freedoms. And that goes with any piece of legislation here. I don't have to have my name on it. I'm not here to run up a bill count. We were joking earlier about, comparing the bills that we sponsor and get across the floor to a body count, but that's not a good comparison. But I'm not here for a bill count. Yeah. I'm here to make sure that when I'm in that seat on the floor and I make those votes on any piece of legislation, whether it's guns, whether it's the budget, it doesn't matter what it is, does it keep us free? Does it expand government? Does it relieve the tax burden on people so that you can live? Because if you have money left over, we know that Americans share. They take care of each other. Because there was a time when there wasn't. My grandmother, when my grandpa died, she had 8 kids. She didn't have Social Security.
Yeah.
She was still able to raise those 8 kids. A lot of them went to college. Some of them went into the armed services. So we know that Americans will take care of themselves if the government stays out of it, so that they have the finances, the resources, and the freedom to do it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm here, is to protect that.
Yeah.
Not just to get bills through, but to protect that.
So we're going to be doing the same thing we were last year. We're going to be fighting for stand your ground, immunity, and reimbursement, which the short version for you guys, and we'll have a lot more to say about this in the upcoming weeks, but basically you shouldn't have to sit in jail while they try to come up with some charges to get you. And so our legislation basically says, look, within a couple weeks, you have a right to go before a judge. And it's basically, I think Don Kilmer, he's an attorney friend of ours, said it best. It's basically like the anti-SLAPP for the Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. It's have the government show, they've got to show something. They've got to have some sort of evidence to hold you. And if not, then they've got to let you go, okay, if you've defended yourself. Now, if there's legitimate evidence that you've committed some wrongdoing, fine, they can keep you in jail and all that kind of stuff and until you have your trial. But in the meantime, you have a right to be free if you've acted in self-defense, and not just because you have some prosecutor, like in Ada County, that we saw, and keeping you in jail. And so that's the legislation that we're trying to get through, and it's a tough one. It's going to be really hard.
It is, because we've even seen it, and it wasn't even a deadly force, but it was just having a gun there.
Mm-hmm.
A trial go forward when a woman sat in a witness chair and said it was a scary gun. And that was enough to move forward. Well, if you're not familiar with guns, or you're anti-gun, or you are someone who doesn't think anybody should have a gun, any gun is a scary gun.
Mm-hmm.
But is that really enough evidence to move forward, especially in a case like this, where this is former law enforcement, active military, highly decorated person who knew what they were doing in that situation. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just like me even, which I should have the right to, and then not have to go through that to the tune of $30,000 or $40,000 just because someone said it was a scary gun.
That's absolutely insane. So anyway, that's what we're hoping to prevent. That's what we're hoping to make a difference for in Idahoans, because again, after watching that trial, it's like I don't want to be in that position. I mean, I was nervous. I was like scared for this family, going, holy crap. And again, this wasn't even deadly force, wasn't even used.
It
was just some madman was running around the streets around a bunch of school kids,
threatening children.
And this guy goes and does what any dad would have done and what any wife would have wanted their husbands to do. So and was being prosecuted in Ada County by a GOP prosecutor. So that's, nobody should have to live with that when they're out, defending themselves or defending others. And so we appreciate, that you're going to be helping us with that again. We're going to be working the legislature to hopefully finally get moving on this thing and do what needs to be done to help Idahoans out. But we appreciate you standing with gun owners. You have for a really long time, and I know that's not easy. Well, I know it doesn't bother you, but it's you take a lot of beatings for standing with us, and so we really appreciate it.
I wouldn't have it any other way. Wouldn't have it any other way. This is important. And it's I know it's kind of a cliche saying, but God, guns, and babies. That's kind of like the foundation of our country and the important things, because that all ties back to families. And
okay, well, thank you for your time, Senator. We appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in. We've got a busy session on top of elections coming up in May, so it's going to be a really, really, really long year, and but we love it, and we're here to fight for you guys. So thank you.
It's a pleasure and an honor, and thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your support of me and for the Second Amendment Alliance. We would not be here without you and your support, and on so many different levels. So just thank you so much.
All right, God bless.